Gruden.
And we're now live on YouTube.
Live on YouTube.
Stop playing that after just seconds out.
Well,
Okay.
there we go. Here we are on, what is today? Monday, July 14th.
Yep.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Forgot to say that at the beginning of the program. But we are here the day after the Germans won the World Cup. Somewhat of the expected result here at the Cover 3 podcast, brought to you by Aces Atlantic Coast Extreme Sports, other than my prediction, which was the very outlandish, the USA would come back and...
You were close.
I was close.
You were close.
America is always close to winning it all.
There were a few fans that were actually, saying that USA was going to come back.
Yeah,
So,
I had
you
a
weren't the
feeling.
only one.
Yeah. And before we get into our topics today, I did want to mention one thing. I was listening to a broadcast from a week or two ago, and I did say that Kiko Alonso had won Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. I was mistaken. It was Sheldon Richardson,
Okay.
the monster defensive lineman from the Jets, who also plays a little bit of fullback. That was an error and an omission on our part. Wanted to correct that for the folks out there. They were still from the AFC East. What can I do? I was close to that. Yeah. But first topic of discussion, we're going to hold off on the World Cup for a minute and go into the NBA. Huge news. LeBron back in Cleveland.
I'm coming home.
I tried to sing, but my singing voice is
Yeah,
terrible.
it's
so
fine. It
kudos
is
to you guys.
huge news. It has shocked the world. LeBron's homecoming, which his reasons are that he wants to be back in what he calls Northeast Ohio. He wants to
Right.
be home. He did not sign a very long-term deal, about 2 years, $40-odd million.
Okay. I posted this article that I read when this happened. I posted this on the Cover 3 Facebook page. If you guys aren't following us on Facebook or liking us, whatever the terms of the social media may be, social media, whatever the terms may be, go ahead and find us on Facebook. Do you know the specifics of why he didn't sign that contract?
Like a huge long-term
Yeah, do you know why?
So he can hit the free agency market again?
No, it's probably the smartest play in terms of
Like a financial play or a
yes,
basketball
yeah,
play?
financial terms.
Financially.
It just LeBron, and I don't know if this is a test to his agents or whoever, but LeBron's camp in general is just ridiculously smart in how they handle business.
Right.
The reason LeBron only signed a 2-year contract, which he can opt out after next season,
Mhm.
is because by the 2016 season, when his contract ends, there will be a new TV rights deal,
Okay.
which means every team's salary cap is going to raise.
Oh. So he can
So the
make it-
max money he can make will be coming in that 2016 season.
Right.
That is very smart.
Real smart.
So what does that say about, or does it really say anything about some of the other guys that sign these deals like Bosch, or I believe Kyrie Irving was locked up for 5 years as well.
Well, he's got 90 mil.
Yeah, 90 mil.
When I was thinking about it, right, so other players' stock can fluctuate drastically versus LeBron. I mean, LeBron, at any given day, he could tear an ACL, and,
Yeah.
people could be like, all right, well, we don't know if he's as healthy as this is
Yeah.
that. But consistently, LeBron has been, if not the best player in the game for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Therefore, he knows his stock is not going anywhere, and he knows his stock is only going to rise. And even in 2 years, he knows he's still going to be worth the maximum amount of money.
Mhm.
People like Chris Bosh can, 4-year, $96 million, and your man Melo signing back with the Knicks.
We'll get on that later.
5-year, 119, I believe. You can correct me
I
if
think
I'm
it was
wrong.
over the 122.
It's 122.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah.
122. Okay,
Yeah.
so 5-122. But those players are aware that 2 years from now they're not going to know where the talent range is or how they fit or what the market's like and
They
who
might
wants
not be
them.
able to garner that
Right.
amount of money on the open
Exactly.
market. That's
And-
very smart
so,
of LeBron.
I can't understand how Chris Bosh gets a max contract.
Oh yeah.
I can understand that 88 mil, but when he's hitting 119 or 118, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And to think that the Heat now, their odds are horrible.
Yeah.
In Vegas, the Cavs, since the signing of LeBron, are 3-1 favorites
Mhm.
to win the title, not even just
Right.
the East. In the East, I believe at the time, maybe it's a little bit better now, not as harsh. There was 100-1 odds that the Heat were going to win an NBA championship next season. And they've been favored the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I find it pretty crazy. What are their chances, other than looking at the Vegas odds and what the talking heads say on TV, if they do get D Wade back, they have Chris Bosh back, how much of a threat are the Miami Heat going to be without LeBron James? Because we haven't seen this team with the big two, technically, not the big three.
So if they get Chris Bosh back and Dwayne Wade still comes back, and they have Shabazz Napier, he's a rookie, so we're kind of excited to see.
He's
what
been
gonna
struggling in Summer League.
Yeah, Summer League. But I mean, if they get the big two back out of three, I still think that they lost their lifeline. They lost their heart. I mean, they were exposed in the finals game that they can be beaten by a team. So if you play like a team, you can beat the Heat. I mean, everybody else was non-existent versus LeBron. LeBron James would have 1/3 of the team's points, and without LeBron James, there'd be a huge deficit, and LeBron James had to come back and kind of pick the team back up. So with that being said, Dwayne Wade's a little older, and he's a lot more injury prone. Chris Bosh, I mean, he's very inconsistent sometimes. We know that he can put up the numbers, and we know that he's a talented player, but he's not a player that's an all-star on your team that you're going to want to have as your back and the last person to take a shot, right? Mm-hmm. That's LeBron James for you guys. Now you guys lost LeBron James. Who are you guys bringing in? We don't know yet. The Heat are kind of struggling to even hit the market, even tap that market, right? And they've been searching some different avenues and this and that, but they really haven't got any big names. So yeah, I do think that the Heat have fallen from being the best in the East to now being maybe mid to subpar in the East. They're not going to make it. The Wizards are going to come back and beat them.
Oh yeah, the Wizards with
Chicago could even beat them.
A new asset in Paul Pierce.
Right, Paul Pierce. We can get to that in a second here, but I believe that I don't even know if they're even a playoff caliber team anymore.
No, I wouldn't drop them off that far.
Really?
If Dwayne Wade comes back 100%.
Has Dwayne Wade ever come back 100%?
I would say before, when the big three first happened, those first 2 seasons, D. Wade was at 100%, but D. Wade wasn't playing for. D. Wade wasn't the main go-to guy. He didn't have to be. He deferred completely to LeBron. Right. It's not like he, was like, hey, you take 50, I'll take 50. It was like, I'm taking 10%. LeBron, go ahead, you got it.
And no one can fault.
Not at all. He got 2 more championships out of it.
Exactly.
So I feel like now it's going to be back to Dwayne Wade's team. If he's fully healthy, his knees are good to go, then it's going to be a completely different scenario. And then Chris Bosh, he's not going to be as limited in his play as he was before.
Right.
And Chris Bosh took the biggest cut out of everybody, not as in terms of finances, but as in terms of his play style suffered, his numbers diminished, everything. So it's going to be a different look for them, but I think they're going to easily finish top 4 in the East.
Well, do you think without LeBron there, Bosh might be able to get back to his Toronto ways? His career high was his last year in Toronto, before points per game, that is, before he came to the Heat, 24 points per game. That dropped to 18.7 the next season, which dropped to 18 the season after that, which dropped to 16.6 the season after that, which dropped to 16.2 this past season. Is that just from LeBron being there, or is that just his career's going down that path? Do you think it's going to shoot back up?
I think it's going to shoot back up. He was the main guy out there.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 sides to the story. So yeah, I would hope for it to shoot back up, because when he played with the Raptors, he actually played like an all-star, like a superstar.
Yeah.
People that actually depended on. Like in Toronto, he was a name. I mean, coming to Miami, he was still a name. He was still part of the big 3, but people would leave him off. It'd be the big 2. It'd be Dwayne Wade and
the
LeBron.
big 3, and he was the
last one.
The last
so it'd be LeBron
one.
James, Dwayne Wade, then you got you got Chris Bosh. Excuse me. I think with the presence, I agree with Brandon. With the presence of LeBron James and him taking control of the game and kind of like being the superstar of the team, kind of probably made Chris Bosh step aside a little bit, and having Dwayne Wade also there as well kind of made him kind of play a different style of game. But I mean, Chris Bosh was still a true power forward, power forward, small forward, power forward type of player. So with Dwayne Wade and LeBron James kind of like sharing that responsibility, but when they're all 3 on the court, at the same time, I don't really see that his playing style should have really diminished that bad, given the fact that your niche is here. LeBron's niche will probably most likely be the shooting, not really shooting, but small forward and
all around
a player. And then Dwayne Wade you got as the point guard, shooting guard, right?
Yeah.
I think he should have fit the mold versus kind of diminish his own. I mean, his points per game, that's whatever. He's probably not taking as many shots because he got LeBron James and Dwayne Wade to trust, and maybe Ray Allen and whoever else on the team. So that's understandable. I can see his points per game jumping back up, but his playing style in general, I don't think it's going to be a huge skyrocket back up. I think that he played exceptionally well at Toronto. Came to Miami. His first year it was a little shaky in the beginning, but then started playing as what they signed him to. And then as the years progress, he's kind of been on a really steady decline. But good. Especially, look, they're after even Kevin Love now. Cleveland sat there and stopped chasing everybody and went strictly after LeBron. And we saw what they did. They got rid of 3 players before even having the confirmation or even having any comfortability around the situation that they're with LeBron. So that tells you a lot about what Cleveland is willing to do in order to keep LeBron or even to get LeBron in general, right? So now they get LeBron and they're keeping LeBron. Now they're like, okay, how do we make LeBron happier? Right, and what better to do so is bring Kevin Love to the team, who is a all-star in the paint, right? Somebody that can actually definitely give you a higher chance to get into the playoffs and even to the finals, and actually put a body or put some sort of stats up against the Spurs if the Spurs I think are going to repeat, right? So bring Kevin Love against Tim Duncan or somebody. That's somebody that is actually a contender. So Cleveland is chasing pretty heavily towards him.
I see no need for that.
Really,
I don't think you need him. I think there's no need to have Kevin Love.
Before we get too deep into the Kevin Love conversation, we'll get back to that in just a moment, guys. But a quick word from our sponsor, Stonebridge High School Athletic Department. 2 of us here at Cover 3 are former students at Stonebridge. I played a year of athletics. Brandon here played a few more than I did. And on this week's upcoming show on Wednesday, we're actually going to have a guest from the Stonebridge Athletic Department, Coach Kyle Wren, a former pupil of ours at school, graduated with him in 2010. He is now the head coach of the JV team, a coordinator for the varsity team, and that's the JV football team, and he's also the head coach, I believe, of the JV lacrosse team.
JV lacrosse,
Yeah. It'd be great to have him on the program here from Stonebridge Athletics. He'll be able to give them a shout-out as well. Great guy, Kyle. Can't wait to hear him talk. He's very well-knowledged in the realm of sports. He might give us a run for our money.
I'm excited to see his personality against. I'm just gonna be one of those guys in the show just to mess with him because I really don't know Kyle.
Be the devil's advocate. I
really don't know him.
He went to a different high school, Emron. In case we never mentioned that on the show, still a Northern Virginia graduate.
It should be exciting to see. Probably my first time. If I've seen him around, I've probably seen him around. But my first time actually getting to sit down and talk sports with him, so I'm kind of excited.
He's a great guy. Obviously, the fact that he's coaching multiple sports at a high school a few years removed from that high school shows
he's very well versed.
Very well versed in coaching and playing the games that he loves.
Right.
And that'll be on Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, July 16th. You'll be able to listen in for Coach Wren here on the Cover 3 podcast. Getting back to what you guys were talking about, Kevin Love. A problem I foresee with them trying to get Kevin Love is I've heard talks of them maybe having to give up a piece like possibly Andrew Wiggins that they just took first overall in the draft, and he's, from what reports are saying and videos are saying, he's tearing it up.
He's tearing it up in summer league.
He's rocking 2-1. That's a great number to be wearing.
Absolutely.
And he looks great out there, like a quality first overall pick, better than Who was that? Bennett they took a year. Yeah.
Actually, Bennett's tearing it up too.
Really?
Yeah.
So no sophomore slump
No.
for him.
Well, I mean,
There was nothing to
There's
slump
nothing to slump from,
There's
you
nothing
know,
to
it'll
slump
only
from.
go upwards.
No, okay, so there'll be a sophomore uprising.
Right.
I
yeah,
guess.
but no, Bennett's tearing it up too. He had, I think in the second game, he had, 13 points and 15 rebounds. So yeah, he's tearing it up too.
He's got a good caliber team though around him in summer league.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, he's with Andrew Wiggins all over again.
Yeah.
So I mean, not all over again, but like just in general, right?
Maybe it'll.
But that's the team also
Exactly.
going into the season,
Yeah.
which goes to my point of you do not need Kevin Love.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't
You
think
don't
they
need
need him either, especially with someone like LeBron on the team.
Uh-huh.
LeBron's, I don't think really ever needed a
Right.
stud center to
Right.
get things done.
I mean, we saw that with Miami and their 2
Yeah,
championships.
exactly. And I mean,
Well, Kevin Love's equivalent to Chris Bosh. They play the same position.
yeah,
Right.
That's true. Sorry,
But I
yeah.
feel that Kevin Love is a little.
Or
little
that big
stronger
man on the
position.
court.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
if he's ever needed that stud big man on the court to get things done.
But with the Cavs, they have a young roster, and LeBron's coming back. He says he looks forward to, teaching them all he knows, growing up the roster, all that.
I'm excited to see LeBron be a leader. I don't think he's he's played. I don't think he's really played much of a leader role in a sense of coming into the team and bringing a team with experience of being in the finals and having a championship ring and this and that. I mean, when he went to Miami, Dwayne Wade was kind of the person that he looked up to because Dwayne Wade did it all on his own with Shaquille O'Neal and they got the ring, right? So now LeBron James is now coming back to Cleveland and is providing that same support that Dwayne Wade provided LeBron. So I'm surprised. I'm going to be excited to see how LeBron kind of teaches the young bucks what it is all about, what's the discipline they need to do, and what off-court and on-court antics need to be done in order to get to the championship. Because
How do you prepare to be a winner?
right, how do you prepare to be a winner?
Not even that. Just in all aspects of life, LeBron's trying to teach the younger guys on. And if this is the first time where LeBron's on a roster, he's the third oldest person.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Almost everybody else in that roster was born in 1990.
Right.
Yeah, well, he referred to himself
earlier.
as the old head of
Yeah.
the team, and it's also obviously he's now Kyrie's going to be put into that shadow, but he's
Right.
also going to a team once again where there's already a small guy on the team that's the superstar, Kyrie
Right.
Irving.
Right.
He's going to have to put someone in the back seat just like he did Dwayne Wade,
Yeah.
even though that was a great friend of his. It's going to be an interesting dynamic.
But
to see how
Andrew
that works
Wiggins
out.
is also going to be that third superstar. They have a
Exactly.
big three. There's
Yeah.
no need to
But now,
trade
let's think
Andrew
about
Wiggins.
it.
I agree with you.
I agree with you. I mean, I don't think that they're chasing after Kevin Love that bad. I don't think it's where it's like make or break for them. I think they want Kevin Love over Andrew Wiggins. I think Cleveland's upper or top management, front management really would like Kevin Love because they've seen what Kevin Love can do in the NBA. But Andrew Wiggins, they're kind of holding out as well. They don't want to get rid of him just yet. Therefore, or else he would have been already gotten rid of, right?
Well, people have been touting him as
Right.
the next big thing since LeBron.
Exactly.
So to have two guys that people are calling superstars on
Right.
the same team.
So I mean, back to your statement though, with Kyrie Irving putting him back in the shadow, I don't think Kyrie Irving will have a problem though, right? You'd love to see a dynamic. I'd love to see a dynamic too. But
Yeah.
people like Kyrie Irving, they idolize LeBron James. They
Oh,
looked
I'm
up to
sure.
him. They played basketball and they wanted to be like LeBron James.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
positive they did because the numbers that LeBron James put up and the character that he brought to the court in general. I mean, he was the best player in the NBA for a long time, and he still is the best player in the NBA, and he's running with it. And I think Kyrie Irving would love to sit there and take a step back and get some pointers from the greatest player in the NBA at the moment, right?
Yeah.
That's like playing with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to play with Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Well, we're all definitely excited to see LeBron James, how things work out.
I'm excited for 2K.
Yeah,
That's
I've
the-
heard you talking about that. a
I
lot
cannot
recently.
wait for GM mode in 2K and just to have LeBron and the young guns and grow everybody up in my organization. I'm excited.
So couldn't you just update your roster right now?
No, you
No.
can't. I tried. You know what?
You have
I'm
to
off
buy
work.
the new game.
I'm off work today, and I sat at home and I tried to find a way how to create all the players and
Right.
do it, and it took me hours to finally realize that it's not feasible to do. And
Yeah, you're gonna have
whatnot.
to cough up the $60.
Yeah, so I just can't wait for 2K15 to come out.
Yeah.
Um,
I can't wait for 2K football to come out.
August?
Oh wait,
October?
Madden owns the exclusive rights to all NFL names and franchises, and we can never see 2K football again.
Football was a monster.
It was better than Madden in my opinion.
That was a monster. 2K5.
Yeah, 2K5 was the last great
man.
football game.
T.O. on the cover.
Oh yeah, helmet
Yeah,
cam,
yeah.
all
Yeah.
that. Before we do our World Cup wrap up with you guys, some words you'd like for LeBron? I mean, not LeBron, Melo. It's him staying in New York.
This isn't a BG's
Hold on,
corner
I
segment.
saw your video, but that was pretty funny, you know.
Yeah, we
with
put
your
Melo back up.
dolls, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you notice Melo's back up?
I
on the
did
mantelpiece?
notice. I did notice.
No, you know, he did what Phil Jackson asked for. He did what I asked for also. I said, can Melo take a pay cut? Melo took a pay cut of $8 million.
Yeah.
Whatever.
8 million, right.
Well, no, he signed for 22. The max is
I thought it was
29.
129. So about 7 million.
7 million.
Right,
He took a $7 million pay cut.
Well, just enough money to maybe have one player on the roster not be making league minimum and have someone that maybe has a little bit of experience. That's about as much as that can do.
Yeah, it doesn't help out too much.
So now, 5 years, 122, $7 million pay cut. Now, I mean, from hearing the numbers, I don't think he really did that. Really kind of hurt him or put him a setback.
It's
now,
gonna give us.
I would love to hear your thoughts on that because I know you were very angry at the fact that he's tending to stay. And the numbers before we thought were 119. So him to
Well, no, we thought it was 129.
okay, so
Yeah,
we were right.
I thought it was 129 before. That was always why I was upset because he was about to take $129 million.
But he's taking 122. So
I'm
what do you think that
still
7 million
irritated, but I'm
Right.
glad that he took a pay cut. So since showing that he took a pay cut
Yeah.
Please.
shows that he's willing to work with Phil Jackson and see Phil's vision.
Right.
But next year is when we have our most money, which is, I want to say 30 mil clears up in the cap. So we'll have 30 mil cleared in cap space to sign whoever we want. And it just didn't work out where, you know, LeBron is gone to Cleveland now. And the only player that we would,
sad story. A little violent.
Yeah.
only player that we'd be able to sign would be Kevin Love if he doesn't get traded,
Yeah.
you know.
To Cleveland.
Well, not to wherever.
Or
If
the
they-
Lakers or something like that.
Yeah, the only player we have would be able to sign. Only big name would be Kevin Love because LaMarcus Aldridge re-signed, Kyrie re-signed. So I mean, maybe Kevin Love, a couple rookies who are coming up, but I don't know. It's as a Knicks fan, it's frustrating. You know, we need a star player in New York.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the consensus is among fans.
Yeah.
I don't think it's needed. I think we would be able to do fine without Carmelo because of his selfish style of play, ISO basketball. But
All right.
what can you do? I'm glad we got something, sort of.
Quick point about the whole Melo LeBron thing. I personally would have loved to have seen. I like to see the homecoming of LeBron to Cleveland. I thought it would have been awesome to see Melo take LeBron's spot on the Heat roster.
That would have been cool.
That would have been awesome
That
to
would have
see.
been cool.
I think that would have been something
But
we hadn't
see-
seen in a long time.
He doesn't. The Heat wouldn't have had the money for it, and
Well, that's true.
Debatable.
stemming from what
He didn't take a.
It
He had to take a bigger
Yeah.
pay cut.
He would have had to
But
take
I
a
mean,
bigger
they would
pay
still
cut.
have a pretty
Yeah.
solid, substantial amount of money to give him.
But
you know what? I want to read something I saw online. So what Melo on his letter, you know, because LeBron wrote that great distinguished letter to Sports Illustrated, which you know declared he was
Right.
coming home.
Right.
So Melo went to, I guess, Twitter or Facebook, whatever, and wrote this. A few years ago, I dreamed of coming back to New York City, the place of my birth, and on February 23rd, 2011, that became a reality. This organization has supported me, and in return, I want to stay here and build here with this city and my team. At this pivotal juncture in my career, I owed to myself and my family to explore all the options available to me. Through it all, my heart never wavered. My city, my heart. That's what Melo said. What Melo meant, I wanted the money, my account, my wallet.
That's what you can.
And I mean, you know, if that's what you're in it for,
You
by
know
all
what?
means, go ahead, do
Let's
it.
post
Just-
it on our Facebook
just
so
say
they
it.
can get a visual idea.
I think
of what
I
the
think I
picture
did
is.
post that.
And then we could post it on the Cover 3 blog as well, right? Another point I just want to leave with you two, you know, Lakers signed Jeremy Lin. Good move or bad move? Yes or no? We could talk about it through our blog or next show.
Quick point. I don't think it's going to really affect them much. I don't see the Lakers being a threat in the West.
He got a pretty solid amount of money.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. I forget the exact details about the contract, but
Jeremy Lin was like getting a consolation prize, like going to, you know, going to the carnival and seeing the big screen TV and then walking away with the finger trap.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that was basically Jeremy Lin realizing that his worth in Houston wasn't as much as he might have realized, and they were courting people like Melo. You can't blame Houston for that sort of thing.
Right.
He realized that maybe he wanted something else to do. They mutually were able to work something out.
Well, Jeremy Lin was supposed to get cleared from the get-go.
Really,
He was supposed to get
they were
cleared.
able to get a first-round draft pick out of it. So things worked out for both sides. Real quick, guys, before we get to our next commercial break in a few minutes into our division rankings, World Cup, things wrapped up this weekend. Your closing thoughts on that? The state of soccer in America, or football as it's called worldwide?
It's just a sad day. I kind of was actually enjoying the World Cup. I know you yourself might not have enjoyed it as
I
much.
can enjoy it every now and then. I
Right.
see people get excited about sports,
Right.
even though I don't like the sport. It's always nice to see.
I wish it was a little bit longer, but you know what? Every good thing has to come to an end, right?
Mhm.
So with that being said, our predictions were not wrong up until we predicted the Netherlands were going to go to the ship. But after that, you know,
Yeah.
we said that Germany was going to take it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it happened to pan out that Germany was going to take it. But I was actually a little scared, a little timid, because the way that Argentina came out and started to play, there was a lot of close calls where they should have scored. I mean,
Where Messi should have scored.
Messi should have had the outside post about 3 or 4 times. And I'm telling you, my heart dropped because the way Germany was playing wasn't really as in sync as they played against Brazil. I mean, against the shot defense. I mean, they even stepped it up. They were a little injured. They didn't have Di Maria, Argentina, I'm saying. And I believe Aguero was a little hurt as well. And he kind of came back in and, you know, still kind of tried his best. But at the end of the day, Germany was the victor to bring home, I think, their 5th World Cup. Or it might have been their 4th. I know it was one of the 2 numbers. And, you know, kudos to them. They played a great game. They played amazing. They played great all World Cup. There's not a down time or a down moment for Germany where we sat there and second-guessed their talent versus other teams. So, you know, good job. Congrats to the World Cup winners. See you in 4 years, because I think that's it for them, because their talent is running dry, and they're
Who's
getting
that?
older. Germany?
No.
They're getting older.
Extremely young roster.
No.
Well, their
no,
superstars are getting
no.
older, if I'm not mistaken. You got
Oh, Mario Götze, he's I think he's like 24.
Mario Götze, who had that one goal, was really kind of out of the limelight until that
But
goal.
he's a superstar in Bundesliga.
For his club team.
He's a bona fide
But-
superstar out there. He's coming off the bench,
Right. But
which means he's only got more time to go.
he has more time to grow. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're going to be World Cup champs again.
No.
I don't see that happening. I would not want it to happen.
This is only the beginning. This isn't like Spain where this was that
The
one and
washed
only
up,
time.
Okay.
No, this is only the beginning for Germany. This is only the beginning. They've got a young roster.
So who do you think they're going to lose?
Who do I think they're going to lose?
Yeah, in 4 years, who do you think who's coming back?
I'm not sure of all the ages of every single player on the team.
The only reason I say that was I was listening to the Mothership today.
Oh yeah.
ESPN.
Yeah.
And they had a statistic on there about how many people on this team were under the age of 26, and how it was the most people that scored in a World Cup under the age of 26
Wow.
since like the 50s. I want to say.
Yeah, I was mistaken. It's most.
First outlandish statement of
Right.
today's program.
Yeah,
We
that was
forgive
just
you.
me being very.
You need
Unadvised
some food in your stomach.
I do,
And,
yeah.
The only person that's not coming back is Klaus.
Yeah.
Because he's 36.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm looking at the ages right now, but they are the most players under the age of 30. The team with the most players under the age of 30, and they
Okay.
won the World Cup. So yeah, I'm thinking of somebody else. I don't know who it is.
Yeah.
I'm a little hungry. I'm fasting, so you know.
Well,
I'm
my
eating like
prediction
17
is-
hours.
In what's that going to be? 2018. We're going to see USA and Germany in that final game. There we go. That's my
Hopefully it works
prediction.
out that way.
You,
know, I
you
can
heard
see,
it here first.
I can see USA pulling another run. So.
Yeah, you heard it here first. USA, Germany in the next World Cup. They will be making a sprint to the
I
title.
knew it was coming.
And tonight's program is brought to you by Sprint. Right now, you can go get the Samsung Galaxy Tab 3 for only $49.99. Great thing about Sprint, call up online, not even call up the store, because we know today's generation is all about online. Type in what you want, order it to the store nearest by you, go into the store, pick it up. Don't have to worry about the hassle of not having your product in stock. Sprint, get yours now. The service, as we talked about in prior programs, is great.
Yeah.
It is great.
Have you switched over yet?
I haven't. I'm a lame. I don't know what I'm
You're
doing.
not hip, bro.
I'm
You're
not
not
hip. I'm not, clearly. I got some things going on. I haven't done it.
You
And
must
if
be down by your contract.
I'm locked down.
Yeah.
It's locked down.
I'm locked down. They won't let me out.
And if you guys did hear at the beginning of our program, the music that was playing, that was Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs, a song that might sound familiar to you if you had a privileged movie youth like I did and watched Sandlot on the regular. Great song from that movie. And speaking of movies, if you've not yet voted on any of our polls on cover3.weebly.com, we got a few on there about movies. We got some going up there every week when we got a show asking you your opinions to vote on some polls. Last week we had some polls up there. We got some new ones up here this week. Please send in your thoughts. If you want to have any specific questions or opinions read on air, please send that to cover3questions@gmail.com. That's cover the numeric 3 questions@gmail.com. The past few weeks, guys, if you haven't been listening, please go back and listen. We have been talking about divisions in football, ranking them. This week we will be doing the NFC South. This is a division that I like a lot. It's a division that I do not know who is going to win it. They're a division that has a new quarterback in Josh McCown. They're a division that lost a few star players like Darren Sproles. And they had a team last year that did not perform up to par, which was the Atlanta Falcons. Right. And they have Cam Newton.
Now, is that new? Atlanta Falcons not playing up to par?
I'd say since the tandem of Julio and Roddy have been there, and Matt Ryan throwing the ball, I'd say before they had a solid receiving core, it was kind of regular to see a quarterback like Matt Ryan, who's very good, not make it to the playoffs. But ever since he has weapons like that, you're expected to see them go. Right. They went from being in, I believe, the NFC Championship game the year before to not even making the playoffs. They were like 4-12 last season, 3-13, something along those lines. They were just not a good football team. I don't know who do you guys.
Do you want to start with them?
I'd love to start with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm a huge fan of Matt Ryan. I find his gameplay reminiscent of Tom Brady. Obviously not as great as Tom Brady, but the way that his pocket presence, the way he throws the ball, his accuracy, he reminds me a lot of Tom. Obviously they're wide receivers. They might be the best duo in the game, maybe second, I'd say, behind Alshon and Brandon that we talked about in our NFC North statement.
I would say second. The only reason I'd say that is because they were clouded with injury, and we really didn't get to see them perform to the level that Alshon and Brandon had, right? So we've seen them play, and we've seen what they can do, and they're both bringing two corners to them, or pull the safety each on them because they're that good. As for the Atlanta Falcons, I would love to say that that the Roddy White and Julio Jones can do that, and they have enough talent to do that. But they were clouded with injury, and we really didn't get to see that to a full effect. So I would love to see this year a healthier receiver core and see Roddy White and Julio Jones and Matt Ryan kind of tear up the NFC South. So I'm excited for that because I did like the Atlanta Falcons ever since Michael Vick came there. Being a Virginia Tech alumni and grad, Michael Vick put Atlanta Falcons on the map for me, and ever since I like Matt Ryan. I like the way he plays, and I do love. And I play wide receiver when I play football, so I can appreciate good talent.
Right. And they're a team that has a few questions on defense. Very young cornerbacks. They drafted Desmond Trufant, younger brother of Marcus Trufant, last season. He's someone that I believe will step it up. He's rocking D. Hall's old number of 21. He had a lot of promise coming out of the draft going into his sophomore season now. But it's a revolving door, it seems like, the past few years in that front seven. You never really know who's going to be playing there. Their offensive line, they don't have the best to play there.
They picked up Jake Matthews, son of Bruce Matthews. I'm excited about that.
That's what I was getting to. They needed to address somebody on the offensive line that is a stud, Pro Bowl caliber player. Anyone with the last name Matthews from
pretty much
the best possible football genetics you can have.
Oh yeah, it's the sky, and not just at one position,
right?
Yeah, having that last name Matthews, it gives you the best football genetics you can possibly have.
I think I'm going to change my son's last name to Matthews.
I don't think it's going to work that way.
It's because I'm brown. We could try it out though.
If you want to marry into the family, by all means, go ahead.
Flowing blonde locks on him. And even Casey Matthews, the linebacker for the Eagles. I mean, he hasn't really shown up, but he was still a mid-round draft pick, someone who gets playing time. I mean, that's tough to do in the NFL, just to even A, get drafted, B, get playing time, and have your career last for longer than 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And then have a whole family that does it.
Yeah. A big disappointment for them last season, unfortunately, was Steven Jackson. He's a guy we can all root for. He had back-to-back. He had I've like 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons when he was with the Rams. Did not have one last year. Broke his streak.
He was also injured, if I'm not mistaken.
He was battling a few injuries, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to see how he does this season. I definitely want to see how the team is on Hard Knocks,
Right.
program we all love to watch. If you're a football fan and you don't watch Hard Knocks, I don't know what you're doing. Maybe
You're not doing much.
yeah. If you don't have HBO, I mean, I'm not going to say go find it online.
But go find
Go
it.
find it
Yeah,
online.
Go find it
You
online.
know what else you can find online?
What's
The
that?
Cover 3 podcast. And if you're not listening to that and
Yeah.
you're a sports fan, I don't know what else you're doing.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
you ain't got to pay for us.
They're clearly
Yeah.
sleeping.
And if you're
Exactly.
listening to us, not watching us, you got to watch us. We're on
Right.
Ustream. We're on YouTube.
Got some beautiful faces for you guys to look
The
at.
Atlanta Falcons, I unfortunately have to put this team third in the division. I have to put them third in the division. And the only team that I would put below them is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I want to see them do well this season. They brought in one of my favorite coaches in the league, in Lovie Smith.
Right.
He's a great coach. He seems like he has a good handle on his players. He had a very long tenure in Chicago, brought them to their first Super Bowl since the '85 Bears, arguably one of the best teams in NFL history. They have a holdover from the last regime, which is Mike Glennon.
Mhm.
Mike Glennon, another Northern Virginia
Right.
graduate. But they brought in a quarterback from Lovie's old team in Josh McCown. Somewhat of a one-year wonder, even though he's like a 10-year veteran in the league.
Right.
He put up sick stats last season, like 13 touchdowns to 1 interception.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see numbers like that.
Right.
They drafted Mike Evans, Johnny Manziel's best friend from Texas A&M.
Yep.
They drafted a tight end second in the draft, in the second round of the draft. They have Muscle Hamster, even though he hates the name. You know what I mean? They got some solid
Yeah.
pieces.
Yeah.
They got new jerseys.
They have very
They're
ugly.
looking sleek.
I think they look ugly.
I don't like them either.
I can dig the new helmet with the big logo on it. The jerseys, I can kind of deal with the aways, kind of. I just can't deal with any of them. Maybe
They
they'll
go for
grow
a
on
more
me.
modern look. I mean, the Jaguars had the new jerseys as well, so
Well-
they're trying to go around that same.
Well,
they're trying to follow suit.
the reason I heard behind it is that the numbers are very, I don't know how to describe it. There's very sharp.
angly and
There's
sharp.
angular,
Yeah.
sharp, which they said it was from as if a swashbuckler, a buccaneer was. They look digital though. They look like
Yeah.
clock numbers almost. I don't like the look of it. They just look awkward wearing the jerseys. They signed a big name free agent last year who's already gone from the team in Darrelle Revis. They still have Mark Barron from the San Francisco 49ers who they signed last year. He's a hard-hitting safety. But this is a team that they've just somewhat been meddling along the league since, I hate to say it, since they drafted Josh Freeman a few years ago.
Right.
I don't know what the outlook of this team is going to be. I hope it's great. They have a very efficient game manager in Josh McCown throwing to that big boy Mike Evans. They already have Vincent Jackson. That might be a tandem that in a year or two is in that conversation with the Denvers and the Green Bays and the Chicagos and the Atlanta with a great wide receiver tandem. Vincent Jackson's a very underrated player.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys' opinions on the Bucs? How do you feel about them? Are you have higher hopes than I do for them this season?
No.
No.
The NFC South is a pretty solid division.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, Tampa Bay Buccaneers have really not excited us too much.
Mhm.
I mean, they'd have, a couple of seasons here and there, and, with Marcus Freeman when they first had him, like, he was supposed to be their next savior and, somebody, a solid position for the quarterback. Even then, he kind of busted. And
You said Marcus Freeman?
Josh Freeman, that's
No,
what I'm thinking
no.
about. I'm thinking of Mark. I went to high.
No problem.
a friend of mine,
Excuse
Josh Freeman.
Yeah, no problem.
Josh Freeman, but right, so he was supposed to be kind of like their anchorage,
savior,
right?
yeah.
Their savior, and he was supposed to be a great role player for that
Yeah.
team. He really didn't fit. I mean, he fit, but he didn't really fit
Yeah.
that well. And I don't think that's his fault. I think that's kind of the coaching's fault. And I think
Yeah.
that they didn't really have a great coaching staff around Tampa Bay Bucks. So I'm curious to see what Lovie Smith's going to do, right? And I just don't think this is their year. I don't think he's
Yeah.
going to come in and revamp the whole entire program just like that. I think it's gonna be a rebuilding phase for them.
Yeah.
Still gonna come in last. I see Atlanta Falcons, just like you said, third place with them kind of battling back from injuries and trying to find their niche and being healthy. But I could say Atlanta Falcons could be jumping for a spot between 2 or 3.
Okay.
I could see them come back 100% healthy, and like we said, Roddy White and Julio Jones can just take it away.
Oh, of course.
So.
And Brandon, any other thoughts on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, other than their jerseys?
You know, you guys are gonna think this is rather outlandish.
Mm-hmm.
I've got.
Shout out to our friend Kevin, though, for being a true Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
Yeah, friend of the program, writer of the blog, 5 Knuckle Hustle, which you can find on our website, acextremesports.com. He's a Buccaneer fan.
Yeah.
I've actually got the Saints going third, and since I didn't touch on the Falcons, I got them going second.
That's what I have been
And
battling with.
I have the Bucks fourth,
Okay.
obviously, but
So you still have them last.
Yeah,
So-
but I have the Saints going third, and
Okay.
I wanted to go back to the Falcons. I got them second.
Okay, so far, me and Emron are in unison saying that Bucks last, Falcons third.
I said Falcons are on
If you
the
had
fence,
to,
right.
if you had to say one or the other, just for
Yeah, I'd say Saints would take number two.
Two.
They would. if
Saints
it-
take number 2.
Yeah. I'd say
Okay.
Carolina takes number
And then,
one.
so what you're saying is Bucks last, Saints third, and
Falcons
two
second.
teams.
I
Yet to
see
be-
Bucks and Saints fighting it out for third and fourth, but yeah.
Okay. Wow. What do you? Where do you base that opinion off of? Their quarterback play in the upcoming season, their running game, their defense.
For the Saints,
No. For the Bucks, saying that you.
for the Bucks,
Yeah. What do you have them putting last? Like, just what do you think? Just all around everything that I mentioned.
yeah. I mean, I don't. They haven't improved.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the receiving core has gotten better. You know, I mean, hopefully Vincent Jackson has a better season this year.
Yeah.
And then Mike Evans, it's a great pickup. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
The odds-on favorite. We haven't mentioned this yet. The day of the draft or the day after the draft. I don't first round. Whenever
Right.
the draft ended, Vegas already had odds on who was going to win Rookie of the Year.
Uh-huh.
Mike Evans was 3-1, very similar to that Cavs winning the championship
Right.
odds. Those are huge odds
They
for
are.
him to win.
But, you know, they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
They have.
Josh McCown
yeah.
and Mike Glennon.
Well,
like,
yeah, I know that's
Would
true.
like to see them come back.
Mike Glennon needs to eat 2 dinners a night, from what I can tell. He's a very skinny man. I mean, he can sling the ball,
Yeah.
from what I can tell, but he needs to put some weight on before he gets rocked.
But I mean, you don't underestimate the skinny guys, so they
Yeah,
could probably take a hit.
That's
you
true.
know?
I mean, Josh McCown's a pretty skinny guy, but I just can't. I was looking at his career statistics, and it's just he obviously has never really been given that chance,
Right.
other than earlier in his career, to have a tenure like he did last season with the Bears. But I can't see him replicating that kind of. I mean, if Lovie Smith believed in Josh McCown that much, why would he have gone and made this Jay Cutler, given him this huge extent? Even though I don't think he got that extension, why would he have been so confident in Jay Cutler if he thought he had this 2-year, $10 million guy in Josh McCown, the kind of
Right.
contract he got in Tampa? But I hope that they don't finish last, because specifically I really think Lovie Smith is a great head coach. But moving on to our next team.
Let's go with the New Orleans Saints, because we touched
New
upon them,
Orleans Saints.
and we can leave Carolina for last.
Yeah.
I know you touched upon
Shout
it.
out to Jimmy Graham making his money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we talk about Jimmy Graham making money, we got to say another word about the Stonebridge Athletic Department. here,
Absolutely.
guys. Local school here, they've won a few state titles in various. And as we mentioned earlier in the
And now
program,
my alma mater has taken over, right?
Yeah, we don't have to mention that. An unnamed school in the region has
Right.
taken over that football championship title. But as we mentioned earlier in the program, if you're just tuning in now, we are going to have a guest on later in this week's program on Wednesday. Kyle Wren, or Coach Wren.
Coach
Kyle.
Buddy Wren.
Yeah. Hopefully he reaches that level one day.
That's what his Twitter
We can
is.
only. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can only hope for that sort of success for such a good guy. We're going to have him on the show representing the Stonebridge Athletic Department, another sponsor of the program here, a school that me and Brandon, as we mentioned already, both attended, both graduated from. Great school, great athletic program they got there. Somewhat of a staple in Northern Virginia, I'd say, over the past
definitely.
couple of
Right.
years. Not to toot
Stonebridge football is
not-
like bread and butter.
Yeah, not to toot our own horn. You'll see a couple Redskin players every now and then at the sporting events there.
Exciting news.
Exciting, quite
I'm
the
sure.
exciting news.
They also had my alma mater as well.
Yeah, well, they're not a friend of the program as of yet.
Not yet. We're gonna figure that out.
We'll figure that out.
But also, before we tune back in, just a moment of silence and kind of a rest in peace to a local coach that played that coached in our
Fortune.
district, Coach Adam Fortune.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away about a week ago now. I'm not entirely sure what the actual cause was. But we do give our respect and best wishes to the families and the friends out there that knew him. I heard he was a great guy and a great coach to be around. It's just hard, you just can't take things for granted. And I'm sure he was a great guy, and I'm sure he left something behind for people to follow him. So
I had one of my close friends, Frank Foreman. He played for Coach Fortune at Broad Run, and talked about how great of a coach he was. I talked to him recently. It's always sad news to hear.
Our condolences to the Fortune
family and
the whole Northern Virginia region that's
been affected by
it. Yeah, it's sad news to hear. Try to take things off that solemn note there. Go back to our New Orleans Saints talk. Jimmy Graham, as you were saying, the tight end. Jimmy Graham, the tight end, which he's appealing now.
Is the Johnny Manziel sign?
I don't know if it's applicable right now.
I don't even think that's a Johnny Manziel sign, man. Don't forget that. That's the money sign. Making money, making dollars.
I don't dance.
Don't be surprised. In this day and age, someone might be able to trademark hand gestures.
I'm sure Johnny Manziel is working on it right now as we speak.
I wouldn't be surprised.
In between his trips to Vegas and so on and so forth.
Jimmy Graham, I don't want to see any man lose money that he thinks he deserves, but I think his case is utterly ridiculous that he thinks he's a wide receiver. I hate that we have to talk about legal things when it comes to football before we actually talk about the team in itself.
Right.
We have to touch on it, though. He's probably the best player on that team outside of Drew Brees.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to tight end meeting rooms. He is listed as a tight end. He was drafted as a tight end. And this sounds very minuscule, but he referred to himself as a tight end on his Twitter bio.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he even says, he is a tight end. He knows he's a tight end.
Yeah.
What he's saying is,
He
it's not fair to be getting paid, for the franchise tag, because the way it's set up is, you have probably like one high player.
Yeah.
Rob.
Well, they take the average of the top 5 salaries at that position.
Yeah, and then
out.
It's Gronk, and then Vernon Davis, and the rest. The other 3, which are not very high at all.
Yeah.
Which means he's not making much that season. I think he'd be making like $6 million, something like that season.
Yeah, it's like he'd be losing like half as much money as he would be making as wide receiver. And if we really had to sit down here and rank the best pass catchers in the NFL, you're putting him top 5. You're putting him top 5 with Megatron,
right?
With maybe a Julio, with a Larry, we really can't say Josh Gordon anymore because we don't know his standings in the league. But back to other things about the Saints. Drew Brees, obviously, top 3, top 4 quarterback in the league, arguably the most accurate quarterback in the league. They're a team that outside of Jimmy Graham, they have, what's that big boy they got out there? Marcus Colson, number 12.
Marcus Colson.
Yeah, they drafted a speedster and Brandon Cooks in the draft, which a few teams were eyeing. They were able to snag him. They lost, as we mentioned earlier, Darren Sproles, and they have an ever-changing committee backfield. Pierre Thomas, Mark Ingram, Chris Ivory's gone. You never know who's going to be getting the rock there. It's never really not a lot of confidence in that backfield, I would say. Their defense, they did add Champ Bailey and Jarius Byrd.
Yep. Huge
acquisitions in my mind. Those are the kind of acquisitions that keep them, I feel like, in that standing of first, second in the division.
Champ Bailey.
You're not feeling it?
No, it's like the Wizards getting Paul Pierce.
He is
on the tail end of his career. He's 2 more seasons, he's done.
That's okay, but aside from talent and actual physicality of things, Champ Bailey can bring a lot to the team and the defense in itself with experience. With being like, a Ray Lewis and bring the hype and get the team pumped up. And
the thing is, though, Ray Lewis was healthy into his last day. He played in his last game.
I mean, he did
play in the Super Bowl. He was bringing it still. You were still afraid to run up the middle because of Ray Lewis. Champ Bailey, I mean, you're still you'll bait him. You'll throw his way still because you got a young rookie coming up, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna beat Champ Bailey off the ball.
Yeah. Well, I feel like who will have some help, like I said, Jarius Byrd. Maybe they put Jarius as that guy that's on top of Champ, give him some help. And they drafted a stud last year in Kenny Vaccaro.
Right.
Kenny Vaccaro, one of the best safeties that came out of last year's draft.
I was so upset when the Giants didn't get him.
Oh, yeah. He was someone a lot of teams were eyeing. They've had Patrick Robinson the last 3 years there. He really hasn't panned out as maybe the star they hoped he would have, or the solid starter. Keenan Lewis is a great player.
Right.
Their secondary, I feel like, was very solidified, even though our co-host here, Brandon, isn't feeling the Champ Bailey. I feel like they solidified that secondary. Their defensive line has a stud in Cameron Jordan, not to be confused with Jordan Cameron, the tight end for the Browns.
Right.
Cameron Jordan's coming into his own, becoming one of those top defensive linemen in the league. Outside of him, not a lot of. I mean, Broderick Bunkley had a few good years in Philadelphia. I feel like just anytime you have a team that has a solid secondary, a great quarterback, and any player like Jimmy Graham on that caliber, they're going to be making waves in their division.
But who are their receivers?
I mean,
They
like
haven't
Marcus
retained their
Colston.
receivers. It's just
They
Marcus
haven't.
Colston.
But watch out for Brandon Cooks. That's my. If I can get him in my fantasy draft this year, I'm grabbing him. I think he's going to be a big time playmaker. I feel like he's gonna somewhat take over for that role of Darren Sproles, the kind of guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield and maybe put him on a wide receiver screen, catch the ball, go deep. Kenny Stills showed up last year, Nick Toon, two young guys who were not household names at the beginning of the season, still put up numbers maybe people were grabbing off waiver wires in fantasy football. I'm not as concerned about the wide receiver corps, mainly their running game. Mark Ingram is just not panned out.
He's not healthy.
Yeah.
He's not what they expected him to be coming out of Alabama, and he's luckily left in Alabama.
Yeah.
I believe he was the Heisman winner, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or he was.
Did Mark?
I believe Ingram won the Heisman.
Yeah, Ingram
Okay,
did
so
win a
being a Heisman winner.
Heisman winners never turn out to anything, though. They don't pan out.
Reggie Bush? I mean, he's not a Heisman winner. I think he's a Heisman winner.
He won the Heisman, yes. He's made some waves. But you look at guys like, did Chris Leach win the Heisman that 1 year? No, he didn't, did he?
I don't remember. Tim Tebow won a Heisman.
Tim Tebow won the Heisman.
Yeah, I don't think he should have won that. I think his campaign was a little different.
I think he should. Yeah, I feel like Tim Tebow, as much as I hate to say, when it comes to college football, we didn't see anything like that in that whole decade. He dominated the sport.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
He was probably the best college football player we saw in our generation, and are ever going to see in our generation.
But not a great NFL player.
Not a great NFL player because it
happens.
It's two different games.
And that's how it works with the Heisman. You know, it's guys will be like, "Oh, he was a Heisman winner."
Yeah.
So what? It's very rare when a Heisman winner turns out to be much in the NFL.
But I mean, Alabama is known to produce NFL star like running backs type of players. I mean, let's look at Eddie Lacy for one. I'm sure he's from Alabama.
Who else?
And he's coming out with Green Bay. I mean,
if
I look back at Alabama's roster, I mean, as of late, we're looking at Eddie Lacy. Then it was Mark Ingram.
You're looking at player. Well, you're talking about offensive players.
Yes,
the defensive players have been
definitely
the ones in the NFL that's showing up. But the rest, okay, if you go back and look at the people who won the Heisman and look at their NFL careers, Ty Detmer, Desmond Howard, Gino Torretta, from Miami, Charlie Ward, Rashawn Salam, Eddie George.
Man, you brought it all the way back.
But there's one. Danny Warfield, Charles Woodson. Yeah. There's one. Ricky Williams.
There's another. Now these are Alabama running backs, right?
What?
You're going back to
these are
Heisman Trophy winners. Okay.
I hate to cut this off, guys. We do need to get to our next team very quickly here. This is somewhat of a good segue. A Heisman winner who is panning out in the NFL, playing for the team that, in my opinion, is going to win the division. Cam. Oh, Cam. Cam is leading a team that went, I believe, 12-4 last season.
Yeah.
They made waves in the NFL, something a lot of people probably didn't expect them to do, to have Cam make those kind of strides.
And prior to that, I mean, he did have the sophomore slumps, did he not?
Somewhat.
I mean, there was a controversy going on with Cam Newton.
When you saw what Cam Newton did his rookie season, people thought that will never be duplicated.
Right.
RG3 comes in the next year and has an equally as great season.
Right.
And then last season, we were able to see him come back to his true form.
Absolutely.
Put him into what I consider that elite category of quarterback.
I'm right there with you.
I put Cam in that elite category.
24 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 3,379 passing yards.
And there's a reason why he can hit the end zone.
Wait, that's not even his rushing statistics either.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's just his
585 rushing, 6 TDs.
Stats.
You know, his first 2 seasons were better, but he played a different game. You know, more touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Completely more.
And they lost probably the most recognizable player in Carolina Panthers history, Steve Smith. Lost him to the Baltimore Ravens. This is a receiving core that was probably and still is dubbed the worst in the NFL. They were able to correct somewhat of that by drafting Kelvin Benjamin, the big boy out of FSU.
Picked up Jason Avant. Hopefully
Yeah,
he's healthy
Jason
this
Avant.
season.
Jericho Cotry is someone who's been floating around the league for years, can always make a play or two. Taquan Underwood has been floating around the league also. He was with the Patriots, the Buccaneers, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But Kelvin Benjamin's that guy that somewhat of that similar, somewhat build to Mike Evans, someone who's really tall, can jump up and get a jump ball,
Yeah.
throw it to him.
Also, Jericho Cotry.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Jericho.
He was solid for the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's and he played for I believe the Steelers as of most recently. They have a backfield that has a lot of good players, maybe too many. They might need to get rid of some because no one can ever seem to get a hold of who's the starting running back there.
Right.
They have Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah, who is the starting running back between those two?
I never
know.
and last year they drafted Kenyon Garner, and he's great.
He
Also.
panned out
and,
really well.
And people forget that they also a year or two ago signed Mike Tolbert,
Mm-hmm.
arguably one of
Right.
the best rushing fullbacks in the league.
Yep.
They line him at the tailback sometimes, not just fullback. He's that red zone running
They're
back for them.
definitely utilizing the pistol and bringing them
Yeah,
back out.
They have
but
multiple
They
backs.
have way too many backs to
Yeah,
fully
but
utilize the pistol on something else.
Yeah, I feel like that's teams like us though, like the Giants and Redskins and Cowboys that may be a little jealous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause
absolutely.
everyone would love to have a backfield like that,
Yeah.
where when a guy goes down, the next guy on the list is able to step up.
Right.
Don't got a lot of time left
I
here,
mean, we
guys.
used to be
though.
like that.
The linebacking core,
Oh,
Chase Blackburn.
Luke
Yeah.
Kuechly, who in my opinion has taken over. Patrick Willis is that best middle.
Yeah.
Even someone on. We'll get to that when we get to the 49ers. I was going
Right.
to talk about Navarro Bowman, but Luke Kuechly, probably the best middle linebacker in the NFL. The guy that I mentioned in another show, who I was mistaken who got drafted to, Coney Ely, a defensive end.
Yeah, I'm
He's-
excited to see him play.
Yeah, I want to see Coney Ely. Greg Hardy. He is a monster.
Complete
Yeah,
monster.
they drafted 2 defensive tackles last year in Star Lotulelei and
Lotulelei,
Kawan
yep.
Short.
Mhm.
They're going to solidify the middle of that line. They have.
They're
Could we say they have the best defensive line in football?
It's
But them or the
pretty close.
Them or the Detroit Lions?
debatable. I
Debatable.
can't sit there and say that they have the best over the Detroit Lions because the Detroit Lions still are arguably one of the most exciting defensive lines to watch.
Yeah.
I like the 49ers
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
than the Lions.
I'm going to
at
talk
least.
about.
better than the Lions.
I'm going to somewhat just talk about defensive lines in terms of 4-3.
Right.
Because you can put 3 big boys out there. in
Absolutely.
3
valid.
and they're not going to
Absolutely.
put up as
True.
many stats.
Yeah.
Justin Smith might be one of the best defensive linemen in the league.
And
He's not
right.
putting up huge stats.
Right. But I mean, if you go in retrospect to the Detroit Lions, who was deemed, the best line,
Yeah.
versus now you're looking at Carolina Panthers,
Yeah.
who just picked up assets that we really haven't seen kind of come together.
Yeah.
I'd say that they have the talent to be number one. I'm not giving them that spot just yet. I think the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions still holds it. And Ndamukong Suh,
Yeah.
as reckless and wild as he is, I think he's still a
I
powerhouse on that
I
line.
love Ndamukong.
Yeah.
A few more players to touch on. They were able to steal away Thomas Daku from the Falcons. That's a big pickup in the back, the center fielder. They have a great tight end in Greg Olson. He's one of those guys we didn't mention earlier. Is a great guy from the U.
Yeah.
A school that Brandon here loves, the BG. What else can we touch on here, guys? We only got about a minute left.
Oh, we got a minute left.
Yeah.
I think we should just wrap that up. Carolina Panthers going one in the division.
Yeah.
I think we can all concur.
Yeah, completely.
I think it's going to be Carolina. I think it's going to be the New Orleans Saints, Falcons, and Tampa Bay.
Brandon?
Carolina, Falcons, Saints, Tampa Bay.
I'm going to say Carolina, Saints, Atlanta, Tampa Bay. It's been great talking with you guys today.
Do we got like 30 seconds, right?
Yeah, so-
Yeah, if you want, yeah.
I got 30 seconds to say something in BG's corner real quick. Just announced that Manchester United was dropped by Nike as the sponsors of their kit. And I think I'm a sneakerhead, and I've never said this ever. Foolish move by you, Nike. It's time Manchester United is going to come back on the winning streaks, for what you dropped us for. And we just signed 750 million euros
So
for
that's
next 10
$1.28 billion if you guys don't know what that is.
next 10 years to have Adidas make Man U's kits.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You know what?
More than excited.
You could see us on acexchangesports.com. Another shout out from, our parent company. And look out for all our sports blogs. Appreciate it. Good night.
Talking with you guys. Until next time. clear.
Two applications going at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Stream done.
Ustream is done.
YouTube's done.
So you got the 7.
Should be. I think YouTube was having some problems to begin with, but we had a stop time at 8 o'clock. So.
It does it as a Google Hangout.
Yeah, the same thing.
Well, I tried to watch it and it like added me in.
What do you mean added you in?
like where we could technically, if we wanted to, see the viewers.
Yeah. So when I was watching YouTube, I used to read it from browser.